take a look at a body in a coffin. Now, you'll think I'm really losing it here, but listen and think. Look at the body through a microscope. It is not dead. That body's moving. It's moving so fast it appears to be still. And if it wasn't moving, how would it ever change to dust? Everything moves. We live in an ocean of motion. Make no mistake about it. Every level of vibration is referred to as a frequency, and the beautiful truth is we think on frequencies. Do you know that every great leader that has ever lived, every one of them, they've been in complete unanimous agreement. On one point, they've disagreed on virtually everything else. But this one point they've been in agreement on, that we become what we think about. Solomon put it very well. He was a pretty bright guy. He said, as a person thinketh in their heart. It's not just the thoughts that are running across the screen of your conscious minds. It's the ones you internalize. We truly do become what we think about. See, the thoughts that we're thinking produce the results that we're getting. Remember, I pointed out that we're never satisfied with our results. I don't care how they are. You can be happy with them. You can even celebrate some of them. But you're going to want to do better. And that is because you're a spiritual being, and spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. It's never for disintegration, and nothing stays where it is. Nothing. We do live in an ocean of motion. The dynamic law of life is create or disintegrate. You're never going to stay where you are. Following what we're teaching, you're going to create. It's a beautiful part. So we're looking at our results and we're saying, but this is where I really want to go. And we point to a star that we're shooting at. And we make a decision, that's what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, everybody does that. And 90-some% say, when this improves, then I'm going to do that. Do you know, it'll never happen. It will never happen because you're not on the right frequency. You see, what happens here, pretty soon the decision fades. And when it fades, so does the goal. The goal disappears. Somebody said, I thought you were working. Yeah, well, I am. I'm still working at it. Do you know what the problem is? You're thinking on the wrong frequency. You see, your thought is down here on the frequency that you're living on. But the way to do what you want to do is not on that frequency. Clearly understand this. All science and all theology, the only two sources of reference we have to go to, tell us nothing is created or destroyed. The way to do anything is already here. Space travel, we've always been able to do it. We just weren't aware of how. You know the neat little cell phones we've got that pretty soon will be obsolete? We've always been able to do that. I remember back when we had the party lines. Hardly anybody had a phone. And then when they got one, they got a party line. Everybody's on the line. We were able to build beautiful little cell phones then. Do you know the cell phone you've got has more power as a computer than the computer that took the first rocket to the moon? It's magnificent when you think of what we're doing. And it's all in awareness. And that's what you're developing. You're developing awareness. See, the awareness to do everything is already here, but you've got to get on the frequency that it operates on, because everything operates on a frequency. If you phoned your Uncle Harry, you wouldn't expect your mother to answer the phone. Why? Because you dialed Harry's number. You got on Harry's frequency. That's what the number is. It's a frequency. And there's a zillion of them. We know there's an infinite number of frequencies. Everything you want is already here. What you have to do is attract it. And you know something? You're going to learn how to do that. You see, what we really have to do, we need to make a paradigm shift. We're programmed to operate the way we're operating. Why would 97 or 95% of the population keep using a losing formula? They don't know they are. They're giving it everything they've got. We got to shift our thinking. We got to shift the paradigm. Do you know many of the beliefs and the ideas that are controlling your decision-making right now? They were established by some great-grandparent who lived in a different time. But all that stuff is passed down in the genes. It's called genetic conditioning. We got to change that. You see, well, you're thinking way down here on this lower frequency. The way to do what you want to do is way up here on a higher frequency. And what's required is a committed decision. A committed decision is when you do it regardless. And when you make a committed decision, this is what I'm going to do, you flip your brain onto that higher frequency, and the way is shown. Now we're going to talk about your sixth sense, your intuitive mind, because that's how it comes to you. You're tapping into universal intelligence. That's what all highly successful people do. Whether they know they're doing it or not is irrelevant. But that's what they're doing. That's what you're going to learn how to do. See, the only criteria you have to have when you set a goal is, do you want it? Do you want it? Doesn't matter how you're going to do it. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from. I once heard a cute story where the Maharishi, when he was taking transcendental meditation or decided he was going to take it to the world, one of his close associates said, "Where's the money going to come from?" He said, "Wherever it is right now." I always thought it was such a beautiful answer, because the truth, everything you need, everything you want is already here. Nothing is created or destroyed. I didn't dream this up. It's the way it is. All science, all theology tell us that. The way to get the moon was already here, always here. When President John Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun, who's considered the father of space travel, what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a man to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth, von Braun answered him in 5 words: the will to do it. The will to do it. Will is a mental faculty that gives us the ability to concentrate. You got to concentrate on what you want. That's all you can concentrate on. And that will keep you on the frequency that you have to be on to attract everything that you need to get there. This is so important. You see, I believe decision where it all starts. It's where it all started for Napoleon Hill. It all started when Carnegie asked him, "Are you prepared to dedicate the rest of your life to an idea for which you'll probably receive no material compensation for at least 20 years?" How would you answer that? You see, he didn't know how to do that. He didn't even believe he could. Do you know what I found? When you set a goal, you don't have to believe it. If you keep repeating it, you'll come to believe it. If you tell yourself a lie often enough, you'll believe it. Way back in 1900, William James from Harvard, he said, "Believe, and your belief will create the fact." So true, and so misunderstood. So what do you want? Compare your dream to Napoleon Hill's idea. Just compare it for a moment. Your idea is probably small by comparison. But if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know where the money's coming from, if you don't know where the help's going to come from, it'll probably seem large. When I took my pen and I sat down and I wrote, I would build a company that operated all over the world. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I certainly didn't have the finances to it. I didn't have the help. I didn't even have an assistant. I was just me in my den writing on a pad. Do you know something? Today, I own a company along with Sandy Gallagher, who is my business partner, and we operate all over the world. These aren't accidents. I'm just an ordinary guy that's doing what the public would consider something extraordinary. But it's not extraordinary to me, and it's not going to be to you when you start to understand these principles and incorporate them into your life. I once read where it said, no amount of reading or memorizing is going to make you successful. It's the understanding and application of why something happens. You're going to study this. I study it every day, for at least an hour, sometimes more, but at least an hour. It's a habit. Habit's something you do unconsciously. You don't even spend any time thinking about it. You just do it. You get dressed by habit. You shower, comb, wash your hair. Habit. Do you know good habits automatically transform our life? The one thing you need if you want to move higher is a greater awareness. People are not earning $100,000 a year because they want to earn $100,000 a year. They're earning $100,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $100,000 a month. People aren't alone and lonely because they enjoy being alone and lonely. They're alone and lonely because they're not aware of how to build meaningful relationships. People don't struggle all of their commercial career because they enjoy struggling. They're struggling because they're not aware of how to knock those blocks down that are all inside. It's never outside. It's never another person. It's never a condition or a circumstance. It's always lack of awareness. This is such beautiful information. I've been living with it for a long time. I don't even know how you'd live without it. In fact, I don't think you can. You merely exist. And unfortunately, that's the way most people go through life. You see, our educational institutions is not giving us this kind of information. They really don't. They really believe the secret is read the book, remember what's in the book, and be able to repeat it. Answer the questions, more right than wrong. You'll pass, you get the degree. Well, we've got people graduating from some of the most prestigious universities in the world every year with multiple degrees that are having difficulty finding work, that are broke. How does that happen? And yet you'll find other people who are functionally illiterate, they can neither read nor write, that are earning millions. How do we account for this? You're going to find that out as you study this. It's got nothing to do with anything outside of ourselves. Education isn't answering what's in the book. Education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw from within. Remember I said, everything's already here, omnipresent? That's within us. Madame Montessori was right. Napoleon Hill was right. Carnegie knew the right question. Hill knew how to answer it. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? That's your question. You got to make a decision. You follow this, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. I mentioned we want to build schools in Africa for kids that have never seen a school. And so we're building them. There's many things we want to do. We do them all. I never wonder if I can do something. I just ask myself, do I want to? That's the way I think God meant us to live. I believe we're doing God's work. Somebody say, what's God's work? Well, if God's the creator, then God's work would be creation. We've been given the mental faculties to create. We've been created in God's image. Somewhere along the line, way back when, somebody got that mixed up. They thought when they said you're creating God's image, that God was created in their image, so they're looking for a man on a cloud. There is no man on a cloud. But I'm going to tell you something. You got some phenomenal stuff locked up inside of you. You bring it to the surface, you can have anything you want. It's a great way to live. Study this every day. It will pay astronomical dividends. And you want to know something else? You're going to find people that laugh at you at first will start following you. They'll start to want to know, what are you doing? I know, because they laughed at me. But then they start to follow me. And then they start to thank me. I am so grateful to the great work that Napoleon Hill dedicated his entire lifetime. And you know, when you finish this, you will be too, because your world is going to change like night and day. My hope for you is that you get as much out of this, or even 10% out of this, as I've got it over my lifetime. And if you do, you're going to have an absolutely brilliant future. I love my life. Every morning I wake up, I've got a beautiful day in front of me because I'm doing what I absolutely love to do. And you know the beautiful part? I'm doing it with people that are just like myself. They're into bigger ideas. They're into learning. They want to know. And they know they don't know it all. But we can keep growing. That spark of perfection within you is jabbing you, tell you, want this. Write it down. Make up your mind you're going to do it. And remember, you don't have to know how. You only have to know you will. Hello there, I'm Bob Proctor. And you know, what you're watching is the essence of what's helped me build a very successful life. I've earned millions of dollars. I have business that operates all over the world. And I've worked with some of the most fascinating people that you'll ever want to meet. Not only does it have all of Napoleon Hill's 13 major principles for success locked up here, but you've got the influence of some of the wisest people in the world that I've worked with over the past 57, 58 years. Napoleon Hill spent his whole life putting this together. This is Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading this particular copy now every day since October the 21st, 1961. It's a long time. The man that gave it to me, he said, Bob, if you will read this every day, just read a bit of it every day, and then do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about, you can have anything you want. Now, I have to be honest, I did not believe that when he said that. I was broke. I had 2 months high school formal education. I'd never done anything of any consequence in my entire life. And for the fact that I could have anything I want, I didn't believe it, but I believed he believed it. And that made the difference. And so I started to do what he suggested, and I've studied these 13 principles. What you're looking at here is a Hollywood production of the essence of success in most anyone's lives. You see, Hill studied 500 of the world's most successful people. Then he took people like Firestone and Carnegie and Ford, Edison, and he became intimate friends with them. And that's what this is all about. This is the golden thread that runs through their life. This is, without question, the best investment you'll ever make in your entire life. It's helped me build a life, a very successful life. And it'll do exactly the same thing for you. Hit on the link below. Don't ask anyone what they think you should do. This is an incredible series, this legacy series. It's the essence of Napoleon Hill's lifetime of study, coupled with my lifetime of study. Because I've never stopped studying what Hill discovered. And I'm still using it today. And I'm suggesting and recommending that you use it. You see, I coach people and I'll tell them. They'll do exactly what I tell them until they find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't lie. And I do know what I'm talking about. I think my reputation speaks for itself. I work all over the world with some of the most successful people in the world. Hit on the link below. Treat yourself to this series. I guarantee you, a year from now, you're going to have to look way back to see where you started. And it'll happen that fast. Because it's all locked up in a series of Hollywood-produced videos of the 13 principles that I have used for the past 57 years. Hit on the link. Get it right now.